Hi there! Come with us as we travel to French Polynesia and the Cook Islands for 2 weeks on our honeymoon. We took this trip in late June, early July of 2025, and we had so much fun on this adventure. Our first stop was French Polynesia, which included visits to Tahiti and Bora Bora. Our trip started out with several flights going from Seattle to Los Angeles, then from Los Angeles to the island of Tahiti, and then from Tahiti to the island of Bora Bora. Once we got to Bora Bora, we weren't quite done. We had to get on our boat that took us to the Conrad Bora Bora Nui, and that was our first stop of this trip. We spent the afternoon getting settled, hanging out, enjoying all the scenery that it had to offer, and we even got to watch the sunset on our first night. Later that night, we got dressed up for dinner on the property and enjoyed our first real meal at the resort. Our official day one started, and we pretty much just took the entire day to explore the resort and especially the water. We got to see so many cool fish, and admittedly, I don't have a lot of footage because the fish were underwater, but the water was crystal clear and there were so many cool animals that we got to see. Day 2 was our main Bora Bora Island day. We went over to the main island in the morning to do some shopping and explore the little city center that they have there. But then we went back later that evening to watch the Heva, which is like a summer festival that includes sport, dance, and singing. And we did get to watch a portion of the singing and the dance competition. It was super cool getting to see some of the districts of Bora Bora get to compete with these programs that they had practiced for all year, and it was a super awesome experience. Day 3 was our last full day on Bora Bora, but it was arguably my favorite because we got to go diving for pearls. Our guide picked us up from the hotel and then drove us out to the pearl farm, where we got to dive, choose our oyster, and then got to open it up to see if there was a pearl inside. If yours didn't have a pearl in it, that's okay. They had backups, so everyone went home with a pearl. But it was so cool getting to learn about the process of how the pearls are grown and getting to see your oyster with a pearl inside. Nice. That night, we soaked in our last sunset on the island and got ready to fly out the next day. Days 4 and 5 were spent on the island of Tahiti, meaning that we left Bora Bora on day 4, and on day 5 we explored Papeete, the main city in Tahiti, and this included surfing. My biggest regret is not getting any footage of our surfing, but we still got to explore the city, and it was a cute place to be for 2 days. Day 6 meant it was time for us to visit a new country, so we hopped on the plane to the Cook Islands. While French Polynesia has a lot of French influence and people speak French there, in the Cook Islands, everyone speaks English, they drive on the left side of the road, and they use the New Zealand dollar, which was a cool change to see. We got to our villa and were able to do some exploring, which included finding coconuts and then learning to crack the coconuts from the owner of the property. We saw so many hermit crabs over the next week, and we kicked off our very first night by getting this gorgeous dinner that was walking distance from the villa. Day 7 was our day to just explore the island at our own pace, as well as explore our villa a little bit more. We had a rental car for the entire week, so we did a circle around the island, which took all of 40 minutes. And then we tried out the kayaks that were free to rent at our villa. We found a cute spot to have lunch, And then after a bit more hanging out, we went to the Murray Night Market, which is really fun to get some food from the local booths that they had there. Day 8 was the start of our true adventures on the Cook Islands. We signed up for this ATV experience, which was a super cool way to see some of the inner rings of the island of Rarotonga that we probably wouldn't have seen otherwise. We got to go through some patches of mud, go over some routes and back roads, and also see a waterfall at the halfway point. That afternoon, we took some more time to relax and play around on the property, and then we called it a night. Day 9 happened to be my birthday, so we started out by going to 3 different bakeries around the island. We stopped along the way for some nice morning views, seeing tons and tons of hermit crabs, and we took some time to just drive around the island and explore. That night, we had reservations at the Te Wharanui village. The first part of the evening was a cultural village experience where our guides took us through a mock-up of a traditional village, and we got to learn a lot about the history and culture of the islands. And the second part of the night was a buffet and show experience. The food was so good, and getting to watch the performance afterwards was such a cool treat, and there were so many fun parts to the evening. It was so fun getting to see the dancers and even participate a little bit ourselves. It was a perfect end to the day. Day 10 was possibly one of my favorite days of our time in the Cook Islands. Early in the morning, we left the island of Rarotonga for a day tour on Aitutaki, one of the Cook Islands' other smaller islands that they have. The day tour started with a driving tour all around the island, which took maybe 30 minutes total. And after a quick coffee break, we got on a boat for a little cruise to some of the smaller stopping points that we'd have throughout the day. The water was gorgeous, and they were playing music the entire time, which was super impressive. Whenever we got to get off the boat and explore some of the smaller islands, we saw lots of hermit crabs. They had activities for us, including more coconuts. And we got to soak in some of the scenic views, which were just incredible. We had lunch aboard the boat, took our time getting back to the main island of Aitutaki, and then took our plane back to Rarotonga. That evening, we got back to a sunset platter, which is how we ended our night with our bellies very full. Day 11 was a day packed with activities. We started off the day on a lagoon cruise where they took us out into the middle of the lagoon, and we got to swim with the fish and see some of the wildlife underwater. After that, the tour group took us to their private island just a few minutes off the main island. We got to have lunch and then had several hours of entertainment. At one point, Joel even got recruited as a part of that entertainment, and he was thrilled. They did some more fun activities like dancing, a hermit crab race, and we also got to spend some time just relaxing on the beach. After all of that, we headed home to relax a bit for the afternoon. That evening was maybe my single most favorite activity we did that whole week, which is the progressive dinner. The progressive dinner is super popular on Rarotonga. Throughout the night, you go to 3 different people's homes where they will serve you 3 different courses: appetizer, dinner, and dessert. We learned so much about the culture and the food of the people on the Cook Islands, and we ate so much. Everything was so good, and it was such a fun way to meet new people and learn about the people of the Cook Islands as well. Day 12 was our last full day on the island, but we did not let it go to waste. We had a very relaxing morning at our villa, and that afternoon we went out for a turtle tour, which was super cool. This tiny little boat took us out into the middle of the lagoon where their passages are, and in there we saw so many turtles as well as eagle rays. That afternoon, we soaked in our last day on the island and returned to the first place we had dinner to wrap up our entire trip. I'm including day 13 because it was basically an entire full day, even with traveling. We started by saying goodbye to our beautiful villa in the Cook Islands and took our flight from Rarotonga back to Papeete. We had the entire afternoon in Papeete just walking around. We got dinner and watched the sunset. And then we took a very late night flight to Los Angeles. From there, we made our way back home, but it was the most beautiful trip ever, and I was so pleased that we got to spend our honeymoon there. Thanks so much for watching and following along. We'll catch you next time.